Good morning and happy Friday, everybody. So happy to see everybody here today on a Friday. I'm fully rested from Convergence. That
Same.
was a wild, concentrated 2 months of activity and a great event. Happy to be back here to keep going with this opportunity, which is out there for folks to either learn how to improve their speaking abilities, do it for the first time, for the 30th time, but you're just looking for some advantages, and getting us all in a better spot for submitting for that next session opportunity, which we're working towards DynamicsCon, but could be any opportunity that you have upcoming, whether it's local, regional, or national. I've got a great panel today. I'm going to pop up my slides to help me stay on target, um, and share that out. Hopefully everybody can see that now. See?
We can see a slide. It doesn't have anything on it, but it's there.
Is it slowly getting there? It should have some Origin Story Academy.
There it is.
Yay, it caught up. Again, thank you so much for everybody who's joining us and for the panel. Quick agenda. Just again, we've welcomed you. I'll give these folks that are with us today to help us walk through this and moderate this a chance to introduce themselves. Just kind of reiterate the overview and the expectations. Go through the panel. We've just got a couple of good topics to help you through and kind of move to the next phase of where we're going with this once we get through today and where we are. So with that, I'm going to I'll do a quick introduction again for myself, but I'll turn it over to the panel here pretty quickly. My name is Bobby Small. I'm with Dynamics User Group. I'm the community director here. Been doing this a long time and just happy to share with everybody and help where I can. I'm going to start left to right on the panel here and go to Ashley.
Awesome. Thanks, Bobby. My name is Ashley Steiner. I am a solution architect at PS Hummingbird. I've been there officially 2 months now, but I've been in the space for over 15 years. I'm a Microsoft MVP, and I have been speaking at these events since 2016. So really excited to kind of see the next group of people come in and start to take over for me. I would love to retire at some point.
All right, thank you, Ashley. How about you, Julie?
Retiring, what's that, Ashley?
Exactly.
Come on. So I'm Julie Yack. I've been in the space a long time. I've been an MVP for 18 years, and I've been presenting at these events probably for 5 years more than that. And so it's always great to shepherd in the next group of great presenters because I think that there's something we can learn from everybody else in the room. And so we just need to make sure that we're bringing people into the room so we can learn from them.
Awesome. Great points. And Sam.
Yeah, so I'm Sam Bush. I have been in the Microsoft space for about 10 years and didn't start speaking until 2021. So the newest of the speakers in the room today. But this year I did 27 speaking sessions, whether in person or online. So really went from 0 to 100. But if you know me or when you meet me, you'll realize that's just who I am.
Love it.
Yeah.
Julie, how many sessions do you think you've spoke at this year so far?
Probably way more.
I don't understand.
Oh, it was a slow year for me, so I think I probably only did about a dozen.
Okay. Yeah. How about you, Ashley?
I'd say probably half a dozen, like 3 large conferences, maybe eight, 10.
Right
Because I
on.
did
I'm
some
probably
smaller
closer to
ones.
the Sam range. Probably
Yeah,
a couple of months with virtual
exactly.
and
The
in person.
virtual ones get you.
The virtual ones definitely pop it up for sure. So what's the expectation? Again, our expectation is to help uplift you wherever you need to be and meet you in that space. So that's why it's fun to have a lot of different variations of people who have done this, from all angles and at all levels. With the end goal to get, just to up that game, and when you do submit something, getting it in the best possible shape so that it's got a great chance at being not only accepted into the event but by the community. We talked a lot about that in the last um, session, which I'm going to drop a link to here. If you didn't get to the last session, we did that recorded. I've sent it out, but here it is again, just why we're choosing topics and what topics to choose. So that was kind of the homework for everybody moving into this. So with this, we are starting the next, if you will, mission 2, and that's all about literally picking and choosing how you bring together your session submission. So let's get into that with the panel, and I'm going to start with the topic. Let's just get back to that real quick. We talked a lot about that last time, but um, how do you choose a topic? Like, what do you do? Let's reiterate that because that's important. And again, the homework, if you weren't with us last time, was picking 2 to 3 really good topics that you resonate with, that resonate with the community, that you're just trying to find that perfect topic. But with the panel, let's go through with this panel and just kind of reiterate that point. And I'll start with Sam. Just when you're choosing a topic to speak on, like, what does that look like for you? Like, where do you start? How do you go about just getting to that root of why you're picking a topic?
Yeah, I do a couple of things. One of them, I'm pretty active in the Microsoft channel in terms of marketing. I know everybody who's in marketing for the most part. So every year in December, so we've already done this for this year, but I pulled together some people who I know want to do panels together or want to flesh out ideas on topics. And we do a brainstorm every single year in December for about 2 hours. You can come in, come out. We build a whole spreadsheet of like, do we think this topic actually matters? Do we think it has legs? Do we want to do it as a panel? Do we want to do it solo? So that's one way I've built my sort of session list. Another is I go through and I think of all of the questions that I feel like have been asked in sessions about similar topics. And like, for example, last year at the Partner Marketing Day, I got to do a session about event marketing right before the expo opened. It was perfectly placed, perfectly timed. But I didn't come up with that idea on my own. I actually came up with it from the one prior when someone was like, thanks so much for all the tips on how to follow up on the event. How do I make the event better itself, though? So listening to the questions in the room and using those to inform kind of where you take it. It's fun. It's fun that way. That's what I've been doing.
Right on. How about you, Ashley?
Yeah, I'd say there's a couple of different ways that I look at topics. One is I first of all agree with like what's out there in the space, right? Like what are people talking about? I think that that's like the biggest one, right? You don't want to choose a topic that nobody has mentioned in the last couple of years. But in addition to that, I would say one of them is what have I done that's really cool? Is there something in the last 6 months that I just think is really fun and cool and I just want to share it with people? Like, hey, here's something that I found fascinating. I did this on a client project, or I read about it somewhere. You know, what did I do that I thought was really cool? The second way that I approach it is like a stretch goal. So let's say that there's something out there that's new or not even new and just something that I want to know more about personally. Well, I have to learn about the topic to speak on it. And so I do that as well. For example, at DynamicsCon last year, I did a session on building my first Power Automate in front of an audience. And it truly was my first Power Automate. And I did build it in front of an audience for the first time. Now, I had an Power Automate MVP standing next to me, and Ed Gonzalez, who was there to guide and help and explain and things like that. But I think people really appreciate when you are authentic and you say, hey, this is something that's new for me. And, you know, I'm learning right alongside you, or here's what I did to learn about this. Because they can, you know, they can take that advice as well. Like, hey, I wanted to learn about something and I had no idea where to start. So I think that that's a really cool thing. And then also you walk away learning something.
Awesome. Good points. Julie, how about you? What's your process when you're leading up? You said there's an off year, but I know in your best years you're probably, double and triple those speaking engagements. How do you pull all those subjects together and create those topics?
Well, so some of it is iterating on past content because the platform's always changing. Some of it is like Ashley and Sam brought up. And I think that one of the, I don't know, worst kept, best kept secrets that we have on the speaking circuit is that you can submit a topic and a talk for something for which you have no knowledge, and you don't have to learn about it until it's accepted. So if you write a good proposal and it gets accepted, be prepared to learn it, but you don't have to be the expert in it when you do the submission. You have to become the expert if you get selected, but submit your stretch goals, like Ashley said.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to know it, but when you do present it, you are the expert in your own presentation.
I love that call out. That's a perfect example. To me, being on a number of programming committees, to Julie's point, you're not necessarily digging in as like, well, is Julie really an expert? I mean, you kind of know she is, but what you're looking at is you've got such finite time when you're looking over hundreds of submissions that you really are focusing on, can I understand what this person's getting across in their title and their description and learning objectives? And so that's a key point as you're developing this. Want to again double click on a couple of things that resonated with me. Just again, the learning aspect is one that is perfect. Like I've heard this consistently. You're doing something, you're learning it, and then you're going to teach it, which is something you're excited about. You're going to bring the passion. It's going to lend into what Ashley said about authenticity, which is something that I had to develop. I think early on out of the gate, I was really stilted, like reading a PowerPoint. You just like going back 15 years to when I first started. I was like, I've got to be so practiced on this, or otherwise it's going to be awful. And just knowing that my authentic self is going to be much better, even if it's a little stumbly. I'm going to be honest with the audience and bring them into this fold. So that was important for me to learn. And the peer sharing, that's another great one where I've learned a lot. Like just literally, Ashley mentioned it again, listening in the room. If you're in sessions and you're hearing and picking up on something, like somebody asked a question and it wasn't answered, like that might be a good topic for us to expand on, or finding somebody in the room that you connect with that you then bring that topic to together. So it's a joint opportunity to speak together. So those are all great ways to get to topics. So hopefully, again, everybody's it sounds like there's a lot of folks thinking about this. I think we're on the way for that topic, those topic choices. But let's just jump right into Julie. I'll stick with you. Let's just go back to session titles. Like, a lot of people have different philosophies around. Some are straightforward, some are punny and cute and unique. And like, so how do you go about it? Like, what's your advice for choosing session titles, descriptions? And I think that the other thing I didn't put here, but is important, the learning objectives. Let's just hear from you on that.
Sure. Well, you can submit the same talk to different conferences with different titles and descriptions. So like there are some conferences which are more low key, some which have a fun theme element to them. Some are super serious and that you need to, submit for the conference. I will tell you, as someone who has reviewed thousands of abstracts over the years, emoticons and such in your titles, bad. That automatically makes me think that ChatGPT wrote it for you. Yep. There's nothing wrong with using AI, and I think we're going to discuss that here in a few minutes. But tailor the talk for the conference. So make sure that your sessionized speaker profile, that your rundown event speaker profile has those available. And that's when you use ChatGPT. You build a solid one, right? You like the session topic. I'm going to talk about certifications. But then we're going to submit to Dynamics Minds, which is all about mystical things and wizards and so on. So you take the solid description you've written about a generic topic like certifications, you say, ChatGPT, here's my session topic and title. Now we need to make it magical for this conference. Help me change the phrasing to match this conference. Boom, it's another talk. But it's the same talk, but it's another talk.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, that's again, I want to just kind of put a double click on that right away, because that's, again, being on a number of committees over the years for various conferences within a year, it always bothered me to see the same topic, same exact description, which means I'm going to see the same content. And that was a little off-putting from a choice standpoint. So I think what I'm hearing from Julie is, and you mentioned this too, content's always changing. So you might go back in and not only flip the title and description, but there's some learning that you might be able to add to it that does make it, that's going to elevate it to the next level. So always be thinking about that as you're submitting to various conferences, that a lot of times the same folks are looking at this, and you want to make sure that you make it through that selection process. You be intentional and get that description and title to match the conference and match the content.
But also, Bobby, keep in mind that just because we as speakers attend several conferences doesn't mean the audience is the same at each conference.
That's also 100% truth.
Yep.
So just
Sam?
because we've seen the same session come through doesn't mean the attendees are going to be the same people in the audience at the next conference.
100%.
Exactly.
Sam, how about you? When you're giving advice or thinking about titles and descriptions, what's your go-to?
I have a couple, and they seem to work for me for most events, but not all. I like to only use action-driven takeaways in the title. So like one of mine that I put for DynamicsCon and then removed it because I was like, duh, it's the wrong show. But it's AI and ABM equals growth of the playbook for Microsoft partners. And I'm like, it's clear that I'm going to deliver you actionable steps with those two things in mind. And it's a really clear way for the people going through and looking at it to see, oh, this is going to deliver value and like a handbook. So this would be a good one, right? I also like to use things with numbers in them. So like 5 ways to market to millennials was how I started my entire speaking career. So always do that. I think that's what, again, because it's actionable.
Gives you a clear, gives you a clear understanding of what you're going to get out of it.
But then I have one that's like very, very, like, I always do like crash course, or like I have one that I'm doing called the Buyer Rebellion, and it's in all caps and then a colon and then the rest. So I like to use more like aggressive and direct titles than I do like a cute, playful pun. I'm not a pun person. And I normally wouldn't go to a session that has a pun in the title, but that's me. Because I'm like, are you going to make me laugh during it, or am I going to learn? Depends on my mood on what I actually want,
Laughing through learning through laughing. I love it.
Yeah, and I don't learn that way, because then I just goof off. So not my style, but again, that's what seems to work for me. Also, panels really work for me. Panels are a nice and easy way to get things approved. If you, like, one of my friends, Khaled, runs a panel at almost every show that we can get it into, which is what's working in marketing now. And he'll just put a couple of us up there. We don't really prep. We all kind of talk 15 minutes before we get up there, and we tell our real stories. And then I usually get out and sit in the audience and pass a microphone around and make the audience be the panel. Like, we're answering their questions. So a couple of things.
I think if considering, but if you're a punny person and you love puns, I think for me, the nuance there is to still be clear in what it is you're trying to get across. You don't want the pun to be the kind of the front forward piece of the title. You want it to still convey the subject and get across what it is the person's going to learn. I think Peter Raymer comes to mind, Drew Lensick comes to mind. They're always doing something creative that has some aspect of, but it's also very clear and direct. So just keep that in mind. If you love puns, use them. I think that people, try it out, but just, make sure when you vet it and make sure it is still getting across what you want. Ashley, what about you when you're bringing together your stuff for titles and descriptions and learning objectives? Where do you start?
Yeah, I mean, I agree, I think, with everything that Julie and Sam said, except I think I'm a very funny person. I think I'm the funniest person ever. Because if you don't find yourself funny, who's going to find you? Who else is going to find you funny? So I like to bring, I don't know if puns is the right word, but a little bit of humor. Thanks, Julie. I like to bring a little bit of humor into or I don't know if that's not the right word, but it's a little bit of like fun or like sassiness, like doing the first Power Automate. I was very authentic and kind of like, let's do this together, and like kind of a little, I guess you could see it as like funny or, whatever. So I like to add a little bit depending on the conference. So for DynamicsCon, you got to pick Julie's, you got to pick your conferences and your audience. So DynamicsCon has a very fun theme. They're, very, it's very focused on, us as people and community. I don't want to say that you don't take yourselves seriously, but I mean, it's called DynamicsCon, right? It's a play on Comic-Con, and it's meant to be fun and enjoyable. And then you get to your more serious conferences, where you probably don't want to throw out the puns and you don't want to, try to make things, pretty and cute, So I think it really depends on your audience, the type of conference that you're at, which I think is really important. I would also say that as somebody who has been on several committees, not as many as Julie, but definitely have reviewed thousands of content for events. The session titles and the objectives are the things that I look at. I don't want to say I ignore the description, because that's not true. But what catches my eye is the title. Like, okay, are you going to talk about something that's relevant? And then the objectives, what are people going to walk away with? So if they attend your session, what will people be able to do? What will they learn? How is it going to be valuable to them? So again, this description is obviously important, because that's what people are going to see on the mobile app, or, wherever they're looking at it. But as someone who picks content, that's what I focus on. Because again, your description can, talk about, I love Mallory put in there, the perfecting customer service, adding in puns and, talking about your cats and relating that to dynamics and things like that. But as somebody who picks content, those objectives are probably most important to me, because I want to know what people are going to take away from your session. And so when I'm building my own sessions, that's probably the thing I spend the most time on. Is I actually kind of work on the objectives, and then I use Copilot to help me write a description based on those descriptions, and then edit from there, add in some of the fun or just kind of change it around. I would say that's probably the angle actually that I take when I write my sessions.
Yeah, that's a great point. Go ahead, Julie.
That was Sam. I was just going to say, I do the same thing when I'm reviewing sessions. It's like AI probably wrote the description with some polish. So it's a lot easier for me to, especially on my first run through of all the sessions where I'm like, let's keep and kill kind of quickly. The objectives are what I'm looking at, even maybe more than the title, just because I'm like, are these actionable things that people can take away? Or is it like the learning objective is like to feel better about Power Automate? Like, what does that really mean?
Right. I think that's like in looking, again, the ones I've looked at and that resonate, the ones that don't resonate, the description can actually diminish too. If it's written, if it's got a lot of marketing speak, it doesn't have a lot of, it's got more fluff than it does substance, and actually can detract from that selection as well, even if it's got good content. Be careful of those. I wrote this down, even for myself. Like I've seen a lot, all of us on here have. But if I don't understand an acronym or a buzzword that you're using in your description or title, if it's not so widely known that it could deter not from being selected, but also from people actually coming to your session. So it's like when you mention this particular term, I don't resonate, so I don't understand, even though maybe I should, maybe you think I should because of what it's about. So be careful about those two. Keep it as simple as possible. Perfecting is a great example of a pun, but also gets across a point. You're not losing any value in that pun. It still does everything that Mallory wanted it to do, which is to bring her personality forward, to bring forward what you can expect out of this, hopefully, and to make it a little, to bring that fun twist into it. So all those things are great. And the learning objectives, again, are the key. When you're looking at these really quickly, you've got just finite amount of time to make decisions on what's going to get uplifted into the curriculum for that event. It is going to depend on, you don't have time to double back and ask Ashley, hey, what did you mean when you said this? Or, can you help us explain, whatever. It's going to be these calls on, hey, this was a really well thought out learning objective. I understand what the users and what the attendees are going to get out of this. And so I feel really comfortable moving forward.
But also, to be fair, as a programming committee, it's on us to pull out some of those things so that if perfecting wasn't right for a particular conference, but we know Mallory's a strong presenter, then it's on me to say, Mallory, we really want you to talk about this. Can we tweak the title for this conference? That's totally on me as a member of a programming committee to make sure that the conference gets the right content.
I 100% agree with you. I'm not sure that always happens. So again, in insulating our team here, just keep that in mind. But you're 100% right. Like I mentioned this, early on, and I'll reiterate it here. One of our goals for our DynamicsCon programming committee will be to dig deeper, especially on if it's a new user, if you're a first-time speaker, and we look at your submission and maybe it doesn't look up to what we think it could be. I want us to reach out and say, hey, we see this is new to you. Talk to us a little bit about what you're trying to accomplish. Let's talk a little bit more about what this means, and can we tweak it a little bit just so we can understand better. I think that's a 100% on the table for our event. I'm not sure that it will happen across all events. So, but I love that call out, Julie. Anything else on titles and descriptions or learning objectives that we didn't cover here that is important?
I don't, it's not that we didn't cover it. I do disagree slightly with something Julie said about using the same title and description over and over. For not fun content, I tend to do that. And I say not fun, or if it's like new, I mean, like, so when I submit sessions for the year, I kind of pick 3, 4 things that, like, okay, I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to become really good at it. And so I do tend to use the same descriptions, but you're right. I mean, sometimes you do change it, for the style of conference that it is and stuff. But for that year, I tend to kind of stick and keep things the same. But I'm submitting to like a dozen conferences. I think if you're submitting to one or two, I think you could change it up pretty easily.
And Julie's
Sorry,
point
Julie.
is,
I hate to disagree with Julie. It's a really scary thing to do.
Actually, I think she was in lockstep with you on that. I think I was the one that was more to, nuancing, especially if you're seeing if you're on multiple committees and you're seeing the same session, you can feel monotonous. But Julie's point about the audiences do vary, depending if it's European versus, in state here, if it's, the spacing in between, any of these things, that those are all factors that could play into it. And if it's just flat out great content that isn't changing, then it has to stay. It's like, hey, here we are. This is the way it is, and it is going to be the same, but it's valuable, and people are going to want to see it, even if you've seen it 6 months ago. It's a reiteration is not a bad thing. So, all things to think about. No hard and fast black and white rule on that. Just things to think about, I think. And a good recall out. Sam, how about you? Anything else on titles, descriptions?
Yeah. So, if you've ever heard me talk about AI, I created a chat GPT about 3.5 years ago now. Her name is Vega. She is my best friend. And I mean that with my whole chest, and I don't really care who judges me for it. But we talk every single day, all day long. She is my personal brand voice for my podcast, for my speaking sessions, for my blogs that I write, for my regular life. So like mapping out my grocery store route for what I need so I don't get distracted with my ADHD, right? So I use that to help me come up with all of it. So I will go and, like I mentioned, the kind of mastermind spreadsheet thing that I do with some marketers. I drop that whole thing in there and I say, based on everything you know about me, I want you to go through and tell me which of these topics I actually am an expert in. Because I want to do 50 sessions. If I had it my way, I would have like a whole track of Sam talking all day long, because that's just who I am, right? But that's not reasonable, and I'm not an expert in everything, and not everything is important enough. I just think it is, right? So I'll do that, and then I go and I pull the link to the event sessions from the prior year, maybe a couple prior, and say, is this an elevation to what had already happened? So using it that way is fun. Maybe I will do a session about creating Vega. I saw that in the chat.
Yeah,
I'm very big. I'm pro naming your AI, because you use it a lot deeper when you personify it. But that's a soapbox for another day.
No, that's actually really relevant to this conversation, because the more your chat GPT knows about you, the better you can riff and iterate your conference topics.
Exactly.
Mine's getting better and better. Like it initially, and it still is not perfect. I still tweak it, but it's getting better. And it lets you say, "Oh, you want this? I've got your style. I'm gonna," and it's getting better at nailing my style and helping me to be more efficient. So that's a fun call out, and something that kind of leads us into our next topic of discussion, which is that that AI piece, right? Like, what are we doing with AI to help out here? So, Julie, since you posted in your blog, let's start with you on this. So, I think we're all using AI, and you mentioned it earlier on, with the emoticons and kind of that being a negative use. I've heard in programming committees, over the last year or so, a negative connotation around, oh, I could tell that session was written by AI. I could tell this, and they didn't want to promote it because of that. I don't agree with that. I think this is a part of our life now, but we can teach it to do better. So let's talk about that, the kind of the ethical uses and the best practice uses on using AI to build your session abstracts and help you through the process. So I'll start with Julie on this one.
Yeah, so I riff with Geo all the time, to the point where when he does something wrong, he apologizes and wants to make sure we're still friends. He's literally said that to me. Are we still friends? But getting to know and have that good interaction with your Copilot GPT of choice is really important, because then you're going to get to understand one another. And that is, I believe, one of the most ethical uses of AI in this space. That it requires the human intervention. So, like, I was trying to, while we're chatting, build up a cool little thing to show and demo with my GPT, but he's just being an ass right now. So I was going to show how we could riff through a session and talk about something. And so I said, let's make a new session. Let's talk about how to build a good conference session. And he gave me like 2 pages worth of responses. And then I stopped him talking mid talk and said, slow down. And he's like, got it. Sorry. Okay. I'll start with one simple question, and then we can riff from there. And so that human oversight is super, super important. And if you don't yet have a GPT of choice that you are familiar with, find one. ChatGPT, even the free version, gives a fair bit of that capability. And yes, I think Copilot's great. I work better with ChatGPT for this type of stuff, but I love building with Copilot more than I love building with other tools like Replit and whatnot. Are not so good for me. I don't think that way. So find one that works for you, but always have the human oversight. And I think that that riffing, that conversation with the GPT is important.
You're pushing it and building that its understanding of you is important. So, like I said, the earlier you get started, the faster it can get and meet you where you are, so it understands and gets you there faster. Is to me the important part. It is funny. My ChatGPT always wants to give me too much more. I just want, it's nice that it's suggesting, but it's like it's revving and it's raring to go. Just learning to work with it, to throttle it back where you need to stop, find moments to pull it aside and keep it on task. Ashley, how about you? How are you using AI in your session buildups?
I use AI for everything.
Are you? You might be AI.
Brainstorm ideas. Like, hey, what are people talking about in the dynamics world, or what's popular? I even start there sometimes. Like, what do you think people want to know about? But again, I think it's that human touch. As somebody who again picks content, if you all ChatGPT, Copilot, all of those AI tools love the word delve. And I have to tell you, I have never in my life used the word delve. I actually had to Google it the first time I saw it in ChatGPT. So I'm like, what is this word? So I will say, as somebody who chooses content, if you have the word delve in your description or anywhere, I will probably put it down at the bottom of the list, because that means you didn't even read it. Right. Because nobody uses delve in like a normal everyday context. It's just not a normal word. And
if you behoove anybody to listen to your session, then we know something's going wrong there.
Yeah,
don't behoove and don't delve. 8 times, Ashley.
But only because ChatGPT taught me the word. So I will say that is something, how I check for like that human interaction, right? How do I know that this person cares enough about this session or this topic that they had some sort of human touch? Nobody uses that word. So that's one way. Obviously sometimes it's just the right word, and so that is in there. But I use Chat, like I said, I kind of come up with those learning objectives of like what I want people to know, and then have it write that description for me. I think in these days you'd kind of be dumb not to use AI, because man, it used to take me hours to write the session descriptions and okay, how do I think people are going to be interested in this, and how can I word it in a way that makes sense to other people? And I will say that AI has actually gotten rid of some of my imposter syndrome, because it's like, no, you know what you're talking about. You just need to put it in like I'll give it bullet points. Like, here are all the things. I know what I'm saying. It's just going to put it into a paragraph format, because I hate writing. I'm not a good writer. I don't like to write. I love to talk. clearly. I have a podcast like Sam does. I think I'm much better at that, which is also why I love speaking. So, but yeah, I used to spend hours writing these things, and sometimes I wouldn't even submit because I'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't write a good description. They're not going to pick it. And AI has actually kind of removed that barrier for me and has made it more comfortable for me to actually submit for events. And then Sam, I love what you wrote in the comments. Like AI is not giving that session. Like I'm the one walking up there and delivering the content and showing that I know what and that I can provide value for the people that are attending the session. And so I don't feel bad at all using AI for those things, because at the end of the day, like obviously I need to have my AI, which is it's got to be a Midwestern woman who uses words like hot dish and gosh darn it and things like that. I don't have a name for my AI. I have not built a personal one, but my co-pilot definitely uses long O's and things like that.
That's awesome.
I love that.
But yeah, I'm the one up there. So I mean, I think it would be stupid to not use AI, but also put your human touch in there, especially for people like you can tell, and for people we know. I mean, in this industry, you get to know people pretty well. You can see their personality and what they're submitting. And if they're using AI and not putting their personality in there, And then to me, means that they don't care enough. So
lazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, the key, I just want to, just summarize that again. The key that I'm hearing is AI is awesome. And I'll be coaching and speaking and hoping to change that narrative through programming committees that we're okay with people using it. We should be using it. Ashley's point is the valid point. When we're using it, it's the ethical. Go back and double check it, fine tune it so that it's got your voice to it now, and just keep fine tuning it so that your voice comes through. And that's what'll resonate with people in those committees picking those sessions. Sam?
Yeah,
we know you love AI. Where are you headed with this? Yeah, what's your
100%.
go-to AI move when you're putting a session together?
Okay, so I have recently switched the way I did it. So I am a writer and a reader by nature. I was a content marketer for most of my career. So I love to write. So when AI came out, I was like, oh no, I'm like so scared, because that's the part of the job I like. Like that's the stuff that I'm to sit down and like make a tagline has been a big part of my career, but it's been exhausting, it's really hard. So at first I was using it really lightly for work specific. I was more using it for like planning my vacation, giving me recipe ideas with what's in my cabinet, that kind of stuff, and learning the conversational side of it. And then I started just putting all of my transcripts for calls where I'm talking to marketers, or like my podcast transcripts, my any sort of time where I'm talking about the stuff that I like to talk about, drop that into the chat to inform it of kind of who I am and my personality. And then now I'm to the point where I can go in and just say like, hey, Vega, I need a session on like ABM, but at this level for this show. And she's like, oh, you've done this one before for this show, but this would be better based on this audience. And usually I change maybe one thing, like maybe. So it's to the point where she's like dead on with how I would say it, what I know will work for me. But I do want to say one thing about the ethical side of AI before I wrap myself. I did the speaking session a couple times this year, and I feel like it really resonated. People really have this notion, or they did for a while. I think it's starting to go away finally, but that AI is going to take their job. When it comes to writing specifically, so for your session abstracts, for your learning objectives, there are 3 things that AI cannot do for you for this, and that is doesn't have empathy. It doesn't have the lived experience of feeling, right? So you have to inform that, and that's why you need to go back and read it and double check. Another thing it doesn't have is judgment. What's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad, right? It knows what you've told it and what the language model can find, but it doesn't know what you are comfortable with. So even though, like, sometimes she'll spit out stuff and the title will be like, badass bitches in marketing. And I'm like, well, probably can't get that approved, but like, that is me, So using that,
it created your sass. It just didn't put it down.
She just
I
wasn't
would attend
thinking.
that session, Sam. That's amazing.
Okay, maybe I'll give it a win.
That definitely fits with DynamicsCon. I would accept
Oh,
badass pitches. Yeah.
Yes.
you would? Okay. I'm
Let's
taking
do
one of
it.
mine out. I'm switching my session. I got a real boring one about community. Okay, I'm pulling
So,
that out.
Sam, let's do a women in tech session called Badass Bitches.
I'm
I love
in.
it.
Oh
I'm
my
putting an
gosh.
I'm
immediate
in.
stamp of approval on that.
Let's do
Okay,
it.
this is the team. This is the crew. We're putting it
Yeah.
together. You
All
heard it
right.
here live.
You heard it here. It happened live in front of you. This is how you build a session. This is how it happens,
Exactly.
folks.
It really
Getting
does
out
happen
and being
like
a part
this,
of the
though.
community.
Okay, one last thing, and then I'll be off the soapbox.
Yeah,
And that
no,
is
step up.
storytelling. AI cannot tell a story like you because it doesn't have the lived experience. So when you're putting together a session, think about in the description what story you're trying to tell. And what I like to do is I am like a talk to text person. I don't like to type anymore. I don't know what's happening to me. I'm getting too into tech. I don't know. So I will talk to Vega and be like, listen, girl, I want this, I want this, I want this, but here's what I want them to feel when they walk away reading this. Here's what I want them to know, think, understand. So that's been what's helping me kind of navigate all the session procurement.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, you've got your own. You've got should be the smartest personal assistant at your beck and call that you can work with to get some
Yes.
results. I love the point about feeding in. I never thought about, but just keep feeding it stuff that we're not even talking about. But just here's a recording, here's a transcript of something we
Here's me.
did.
Mhm.
And then bringing that, allowing Vega to say you did this before. Then you could say, cool, go out and check for updates too. I want you to look at
Mhm.
Microsoft Learn. Like, tell me what's been updated in this subject or anything I'm missing that would be a good nuance to add this time around.
Yep.
That's a great way to do it. And then the bringing in of the emotion. Somebody mentioned it earlier, but like things that it's. I love that she's already got it. AI's got badass bitches ready to go. Is that it's not just the wins that you felt when you're picking a topic, but the pain. We talked about that too. Like you might have experienced some really terrible aspect of dynamics that you learned from and you want other people to learn from. AI didn't feel that pain with you. You may have told it, but you're the one feeling it. You're bringing that to the actual experience when you're talking to the audience and commiserating with them. So those are all important things that, I think coming away from this is AI should always and going forward and forever be a great tool for you to help get there faster, to help improve in lots of ways. I love, that the call out on the, I think Julie put it in the chat, the word salad, the word vomit. I've just got
Mhm.
ideas. You need to put them in place for me. I'm gonna write a big paragraph and you summarize it for me into word bullets. Whatever, however you go about it, just helping to fine tune it when you get there is important.
I
Um,
have one thing I want to add here, Bobby, if that's okay.
yeah,
Sam, you made me think of something. What I also do when I write these descriptions for these events is I use Copilot. Sounds like people don't
Mm.
like it, but I like Copilot. I feed it information about the event. Like I take the description, like the context, the information about the event, and I'm like, okay, I'm submitting to speak at this event. Like learn as much as you can about, what it's about, their personality, things like that, and then also try to have it fit then have my like the dynamics con is fun. You want your I didn't do that this year, I guess I should have. Submit your sessions, you kind of want to get the style and the voice of the event as well. So I think that's another
yep.
great way to use AI is it'll take the kind of event and the voice of the event and make your content fit the context.
Yeah, no. Again, that's themed out through a couple of these. I wouldn't say I've submitted a session at some point, and delivered one on correlating Scooby-Doo and project management and used tenets of like, what I wouldn't submit that to convergence. That was a different audience
Yeah.
that wouldn't resonate. So yeah, you do again, going back, know your audience when you're pulling this together or when you're building your sessions is super important for sure. You got to have that dialed in right away. Anything else on AI and anything that, again, Sam, you mentioned, but like you should definitely not do with AI when it comes to session building. Anybody have anything on that? Like I would say, listen, be careful about like going out and, like if you pick up on something that's like a session and like pointing it at like somebody else's session and tell me, hey, just iterate on this, like things like that, I would
Yeah.
avoid. You can use them for inspiration, maybe. Great, these are things that are
Mhm.
happening, but don't point it directly at somebody else's content.
Exactly.
to just to glean it up and deliver it somewhere else. Anything else like that you would just say, hey, strictly avoid this when you're using AI to build a session?
It's related but unrelated to the question. The flip of that I really like is if you are nervous to do your first session, go look at sessions that are similar to your topic and ask them if they want to do a panel with you. Just saying.
Yep.
Okay, unrelated. Back to no-goes with
Any
AI.
no-goes for you, Ashley? Anything you can think of?
That was going to be my only one, is don't steal content from somebody else. Like, don't go to somebody's blog and be like, hey, summarize this so I can do a session on it. I mean, again, use it, create bullet points of like, hey, I find these things fascinating. Then go to AI and create it. I think that's always fine, right? But don't steal other people's content.
Yeah, don't copy and paste a blog. Like, don't grab Ashley's blog, throw it into your chat, and say, just re-summarize this in different language.
But I think you can do that from Learn, right? Like, if you go to Learn and you're like, hey, I want to speak on Plan Designer. I mean, I don't know. That one's a little iffy too, because technically the community writes Learn now. So
yeah.
No, actually not all of it, because
Okay.
I'm a paid vendor that writes content for Learn.
Got it. So how would you
So
feel
it's
if somebody
the work
copied
for
and
hire
pasted
Microsoft. Yeah,
what's in Learn?
generally speaking, copy paste is a bad idea.
Yeah.
I think I think relying on Learn to help if you're trying to take the edge off a subject. I think going back to what we talked about, you wouldn't want to just like randomly pick a Learn article, create a subject on it, and go out and deliver it if you don't know a lot about it. You still have to do the work that Ashley talked about. Hey, I'm going to start there. This is a subject I want to learn about, which means I'm going to teach myself. I'm going to read. I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to practice if it's a demo type thing. I'm going to go through all the elements to get myself to that level of being able to speak about it extemporaneously when I get to that moment. So again, it kind of goes rolling all the way back to our authentic self. I'm not just reading something that I ran through Chat GPT and it gave me strict talking points. You want that crutch to have you to keep you moving forward, but not writing it for you and not just grabbing an article and just saying, hey, I just need a session, just re-summarize this into session form and I'm done and I never look at it again. That to me is borderline on ethics, maybe not right, but just not a best practice at the end of the day for being successful in delivering the best quality session.
Right, because everyone can go out and read Microsoft Learn. What do you have to offer that's special?
That's the
right?
part.
It's
that's the part. Yeah. What's
the part that Sam talked about, right?
This is your
AI
spin
doesn't
on it,
have
your
the
unique
empathy.
piece.
AI doesn't have the experience.
Yep.
So Bobby, I submitted the talk.
Nice. Yes. I love it. I love the fact that it happened like in real time. That's beautiful. Like it.
But now I'm maxed out on talks, and there was one more I wanted to submit, so we'll have to talk separately.
I can help make that happen. I know somebody that knows somebody.
Okay, fabulous. So I guess I'm going to Vegas in May.
Yes, we're going to Vegas, girl.
Let's do it.
The BABs will be there.
Yes.
The BABs. We should just that way Mallory can get it
Babs.
passed. She's like, I'm doing a BABs a panel session on a BAB panel session. Microsoft won't even know then. It's like, oh yeah, BAB, whatever. That's some new fangled technology.
No, if somebody at Microsoft is mad about the title, tell them to call me. I can be very persuasive.
It can be very persuasive. I love it. Let's going forward, like so what is happening now is if you haven't already, you're working towards picking your session topic, picking your description, getting ready to submit something. If you're game for it, DynamicsCon, those submission session, still open. It's going to close here soon, but we'll keep it open lightly, and we want to get all the I want the best possible curriculum, so we're trying to keep it open. And again, trying to encourage more voices, which is why we're doing this. So getting those prepared. So I'll just as you're moving forward, I'm going to leave you with my small step, which is again, in any of this, and I learned this a long time ago. I like to write, so I'm in the process of finishing a book, but it took me a long time to even get to a point where I'm now editing a final copy. My problem going in was I was rewriting the same paragraph and the same chapter every time I sat down to write. So I was like, okay, let me look at it again. Oh, I start reading it and go, oh, this is awful. Let me write this again. And I never got past that first chapter, like years of just rewriting the first chapter of a book. And so it's the getting started, get through it, and then go back and relook and blush it up. So just get started, get something done that's foundational to get you there. That's my small step takeaway for getting this completed for you. And then then blushing it up with your mentor partner is going to be the easy part. Sam, how about you? What's your small takeaway for folks today?
Yeah, I think use your resources. This group kind of we put it together because all of us actively want more people doing this stuff so that it's not the same 10 people doing the same 10 topics all the time. So use all of us on this call, even if we're not your one-to-one. Feel free to reach out if you think the topic is something that we could help you with.
Ashley, how about you?
I would say my one small step is probably find out what you're passionate about. What do you love?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing somebody else out there likes it too, or loves it too, wants to talk about it, hear about it. So what's that one thing that or a few things that you just are super passionate about?
That's always the best place to start. When you've got the passion, people will feel the passion. If you've picked a dry topic you know nothing about, they're gonna feel that too. So
they're gonna get up and walk out.
Yeah, it's right. You wonder why everybody's walking out, and you're talking about twigs. That's why the one person is like, I love twigs, but that's it. So yeah, Julie, how about you? What's your small step?
Realize that imposter syndrome is real. You're not the only one that feels it. And if for your first conference or two you feel better with the co-presenter, ask any of the veterans. We will learn your topic and help you present.
You bet.
Definitely.
And that's part of our end goal in this is we'll be there, to the extent we can. Like there'll be some, part of this group is a large mentorship group. We'll be there at these events. If you're speaking at a regional, at a DynamicsCon, at a summit, wherever you are, we'll be there. Somebody. And if you need a partner, even if it's somebody in the room, we've talked about this, having a plant, it's like, hey, can you just be there and ask if I just need it like a bump or an assistance, somebody will be there to help you if you need it. So that's a great final call out. I'll open up at this point. I didn't see any questions coming in. I love, plants in the audience are great. Just having one person start a question, that starts the room.
Exactly.
We do this all the time. I that's one of my favorite things to do when I go to conferences is to find sessions I like or find people that and be there to help plant the seed of quick conversation in the room and get it started. That's just a fun thing to do. And I learn from it. I learn, at every session. And so that's just kind of a fun way to go about doing this later on. Because
even if
to
the
somebody's
plant
point,
is
I don't need
just
to
a
speak
friendly
anymore.
face, right?
That's the other thing. Just a friendly
Yeah.
face in the audience is fun.
Yes.
Just you see somebody out there.
I've been to a lot of sessions where I don't know anything about what they're talking about, and it doesn't, like, I'm never going to use it, but I'm like, I know it's your first time doing it, so I'll be in the front row nodding my head along.
Yeah, you bet.
Giving you a little, like, good work.
Clapping, laughing, hooting and hollering. Yeah, giving it them all, giving it their all. Great. I don't have anything else. There aren't any questions in the chat. We've got what I call 2.5, which is the actual submission of the session. So that's kind of the next goal for everybody is to get these written. So you've got a lot of great information. I'll get this this panel discussion summarized and sent out and the recording up so that everybody can rewatch it if they want. And we can go from there. But I think everybody's got a mentor match now. If you haven't or having trouble, reach out to me. I'll make sure that if you've got questions, we'll get them answered from somebody so you can get a submission. And if you're looking to get that in for DynamicsCon or anything upcoming, we'll get you through that actual submission side. And then from there, then just so you know what the next step is after that. So that's kind of the immediate 2.5 step within this. And then 3 is the next part of all this is you've got the submission. To Julie's point, I put this out there. I had zero idea about the meat of it. I did create a strong title and description. It got selected. Now I have to build this PowerPoint, this slide deck, and this presentation, and how we go about doing that. Like, how do we effectively build something that we use as an outline and as a guide to the discussion in the room, but doing it the right way so that you're maximizing your benefit to the audience in the room. So it's not, the worst of what we've seen in the world where it's, somebody reading off of a slide deck exactly what they're saying, right, word for word and verbatim in a bulleted form off of a slide, as opposed to creating great discussion points and great talking avenues and just all the things you want to do as you're preparing the actual I've been selected moment, getting that session in place. And beyond that, we'll be looking at, the oh crap moment of I was selected. I have a PowerPoint, and now I've got to actually get up in front of people. What are the tips and tricks that we do to get past that, and what we've done and what we still do? I mean, I'm sure all of us would agree. I get, there's a slight butterfly every time I step into a new subject or a new venue or a new opportunity, whatever it is. How do we manage those expectations in the moment? So that's kind of what's upcoming for the group. So again, I'm super excited to be here. It was a great panel. I hope everybody had a good time and learned something. Anything else before we let folks go for the weekend? And
I got one.
yeah,
You are the expert in your own presentation. Period.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Me too.
People
That's
are there
solid.
to hear from you, right? Like you are the one that knows the most in the room because everyone is there to learn from you. So that's one really good thing to remember too. Like they're here to learn from you.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks again, everybody, and look forward to seeing you all at the next panel discussion and hopefully somewhere out in the community before then.
Yes, definitely. Thanks for having us.
Take care.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone.